Dzień dobry, hello. We are at the National Forum of Music. My guests are Daniel Raiskin, the conductor, and Ilia Rayskin, the drummer. So Daniel, it's been 8 years since you last visited Wrocław and conducted the NFM Wrocław Philharmonic. What impression does our city make on you today? What changed?
I would start, first of all, thanking you for having us here, and that for me this visit also marks exactly 25 years that I've conducted this orchestra for the first time. Yesterday I went walking past the old building at Pilsudskiego, where it all started for me, where I was just a little older than my son now. I actually never lost the contact with the orchestra in a way that I didn't follow what was happening here. And I feel that it's a very dynamic ensemble with a lot of younger people joined in the last years, and of course embraced wonderful opportunity of the new concert hall that it got, a great instrument. And it was for me a feeling of coming home. There's still a few people that were there when I just made my first upbeat here 25 years ago with Dvorak's 7th Symphony. And many other musicians who didn't know that they will be musicians at that time 25 years ago and didn't know that they will be members of this orchestra. So it's a very special moment.
Okay, and Ilia, what about you? Is it your first visit to Poland?
Yes, that's correct. I'm not sure if I remember any childhood visits when I was very young, but I don't think so. So it's my first time here.
Do you like the city?
Yes, I'm liking it. The weather is also nice, so I've been going for some walks around the city. It's very nice. It reminds me a little bit of Amsterdam in some ways.
The program for tonight features 4 symphonic works. What do they have in common?
Well, the title of tonight's concert, The Tyrant's Crush, comes from the title of the work we're playing together. It's by legendary drummer of The Police, Stuart Copeland, who is a greatly trained classical musician who became a rock star drummer. He's written a piece that dedicates itself to a process, how a person becomes a tyrant and what happens after. It's a description of the circle of someone who is riding on the wave of revolution, overthrowing an existing tyrant, then gets charmed by all the perks of tyranny and things that you can get out of it, the personal gains, only to become a tyrant himself or herself. And then a new revolutionary cycle comes for this guy or a lady to be overthrown again. And this idea of tyranny and resistance, whether opened or hidden resistance like a Shostakovich symphony, or open resistance like a Verdi's opera Nabucco, from which we play an overture, a story of resistance of Jewish people against the slavery in Egypt centuries ago. Or the Shostakovich Symphony No. 6, which is nothing else as a document of resistance towards the tyranny of the Soviet communist regime. And if you think that the symphony was finished on the 1st September 1939, which is a very significant date for Poland, you would understand that the first movement of the symphony is nothing less than a requiem for Poland, because even it was finished before things actually started. Artists of such caliber, they have their radar kind of foreseeing, kind of feeling of where the things are leading. And Shostakovich himself was, of course, to 25% purely Polish. His grandfather was a Polish revolutionary who was jailed in Siberia, and for standing up to the oppression of Russian Tsarist regime. So in the middle of that, there is a reflection reminder by a composer of all composers, music of all music, music by Bach, which is a short chorale, organ chorale, with a title, O man, bewain your sinful deeds. It's something that we always have to be reminded of how many greatly bad things we're able to commit and inflict on ourselves. So all these themes are united musically in this program.
Ilia, please tell us something about the trap set concerto, Tyrant's Crush. What is your experience with this exceptional piece?
So it's very much based around Stuart's playing, Stuart Copeland's own unique style, which has been very influential to me. I grew up around the music of The Police, who would play at our house a lot. My dad is a huge fan, of course, and I've stayed a fan for my whole life. So it feels very personal, this piece, because it's the playing of a drummer that I really respect. And so the whole music basically kind of follows his style, his playing. Everything is based around his flow as a musician. So it's also very challenging to play it, because I had to kind of get into his head and learn to improvise in his way, because some of the music is very open. I can kind of make my own decisions about how I play certain things. So yeah.
And probably also the challenge of, like becoming part of the orchestra.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
There's so much percussion going on. So you are a soloist, but you are embedded also with.
Yes. Yeah. I recently found out that some of the music was written for just percussion first, and then the Pittsburgh Symphony commissioned him to actually add a drum set.
Today is the first day of spring. For many, a time to celebrate life. Is making music, performing music, part of it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the final resort. If you look at the last 20 years of our life in Europe, and definitely the last 5 years, there's almost nowhere to turn but music. It's this final medium that can unite without words, without preconditions, without prejudgment, without anything. And just imagine that people with totally opposite views of where we as humans need to head, listening to the same piece, and God forbids they both like it. With all the differences they have, they listen to the same music and they both like it. So in a way, they finally start talking to each other, communicating to each other. These invisible bridges are built between the people who actually hate their guts, but now they are finding themselves up against the wall, being in love with listening to the same piece. It's a magic tool we have to our at our disposal, and especially moments like this when nature awakes again after some grim days and stuff. There's always this sense of new beginning, new cycle. I have a feeling that even a program like this, which is at times very grim and somehow deals with pretty severe issues of our being, there's still always some kind of bravado and hope at the end of it. So I'm really enjoying, and not the least, it's also the first time Ilia and I are on the same stage, making music together. So, my father, Ilia's grandfather, passed away a little more than a month ago. He was a great musicologist, great scholar, but he wanted to become a conductor. So I became a conductor, but when I was a teen, I played in a rock band, and I wanted to be nothing more than a rock drummer. So somehow this idea of generational past, it's very special. And like tonight also, my wife and Ilia's sister, my daughter, is going to be there, and I'm very grateful to this city and to this orchestra, to this organization, for being really such an incredibly important part of my life for so long. So, and this unwanted break of you say 8 years. I thought I was here 2018, maybe it's 2026. Yes, it feels shorter, but it's unwanted break, and I hope that I'll be back again and remember 30 years ago and 35 years ago that I came here for the first time. A little sentimental there, but the older you get, the more sentimental you get.